Olá, boa noite a todas e todos. É um grande
Hello,
prazer
good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here today for this edition of Talking Business, Leadership, Entrepreneurship, Innovation, and Growth. I'm Jason Dyke. I'm the leader of the Global Hub Uninter Group. I'm going to make some brief comments about some housekeeping about the event, and then you're going to have three special guests. The event's going to work like that. We have a quick opening, then I'm going to have a conversation one-on-one with Kat Lawler, our first speaker today. This conversation is going to be in English. Then we have two broadcast channels. The first one, the Uninter channel, that will be broadcasted in Portuguese, and Hector, our second guest, is going to speak Spanish, and you're going to be straight to our Portuguese channel. If you want to follow in English, you're going to have the Global Hub, and you're going to have it here. You have the description in our Global Hub description, so you can change from one channel to the other with no problem. So after the first conversation with our speakers, you're going to have the second part of the webinar. You're going to have a Q&A session, so you can feel free to write questions. We are gonna, don't be anxious, because you can write the question once, and you're gonna try to bring as many questions as we can in this first block. I'd like to thank all of Uninter schools, our partners, especially the business school and also engineering. And they've been great partners since we started this Talking Business session. Entrepreneurship needs courage and forces to confront what the unknown. So we're gonna try to talk about the experience in the real world speakers, international entrepreneurship, people who have taken risk in their career, and also helping others. In Brazil, we have 6.4 million stores or ventures, and most of them are small and micro companies, so business. So that's half of the official workers in Brazil. So we're gonna go to Kat. She works for Eforall, which is entrepreneurship for everyone, entrepreneurship for all, E for all. And this is for those who are beginning their career.
Great pleasure to have you here. I'll briefly introduce you, and then we can just dive right into questions. So Kat's currently the executive director of Entrepreneurship for All in Roxbury, which is part of the Boston area here in Massachusetts. Roxbury is a historic neighborhood in the Boston area with a large African-American and Caribbean population. And it's become increasingly diverse in recent years, been very important for the city and its growth. Eforall is a leading national NGO, or a non-governmental organization here in Brazil, that's focused on accelerating economic growth and inclusive entrepreneurship. So Kat leads a team that offers a structured program. She'll go into some details about that. She's also a member of the board of directors of Pathways International, and completed coursework on organizational leadership and business administration with Harvard Business School. So with that, Kat, welcome. Let me just hit you up right away with the first question, and that's a pretty basic one. Tell us about Eforall. What is it?
Thanks, Jason. Hello, everyone. So the mission of Eforall is we are accelerating social and economic impact through inclusive entrepreneurship. And we do this locally in different states, and we're nationwide.
What type of training and support do you offer? Could you give us a sense for that and who you serve?
Yes. So we aim to serve the underserved. So we target women, immigrants, people of color, and we focus on low income individuals as well. And then our offerings, we have lots of different offerings. Our our biggest offering that we have is our 1-year business accelerator program. It's a 12-week program with classes and a curriculum. The curriculum really helps like at the beginning stage of business. So we really run through like the business model canvas. We have you focus on your customer segment, your value proposition, and then we bring in experts to talk about the nuts and bolts of business. So we go over accounting, social media, and marketing. We teach presentation skills. We have you run your numbers. We have a bunch of different classes that help you know if you're profiting or not. We also have a lawyer come in and talk about the legalities of business. We have an insurance person come in and talk about like the different questions you ask when you need insurance. The curriculum is really helps early stage entrepreneurs be able to like test their idea and really realize if it's a sustainable idea moving forward. But the whole point of it is to help you not make mistakes and spend a lot of time and money on things that you might not need to focus on when you're so early stage. We don't do like a business plan. We want you to actually know like who your customer is before you go out and you get that website and you spend a bunch of money on your LLC. And then the program, you're also paired with 3 mentors. So you have the classes, you're a part of a cohort of other entrepreneurs, and you get paired with 3 mentors that you meet with 90 minutes a week for the first 12 weeks. After the 12 weeks, we meet with you quarterly and we, see if you're on track with your goals. We award seed capital. And then after that whole entire year, you are with us for life. We're always going to connect you to resources and tools that you need to, keep your business running. And, other offerings that we have are office hours, like mentorship. We have pitch contests where you can come and pitch your idea to receive feedback and win some money for your business. And, a big thing that we offer also is feedback. So if you apply to our program, we have hundreds of people read applications and give feedback on each application. So if you don't get into our program, you still leave with feedback on your business idea and you can come back and apply again, even if you don't get into our programs. So yeah, and we give you also access to seed capital. We give away around $20,000 each accelerator. We give away a little over like $3,000 at our pitch contests. And yeah, so those are like our offerings.
That's great. We have a very broad audience all across Brazil. This is a free and open to the public event, so I'm sure we have people that are even beyond Uniinter listening as well. Who's a good fit for the program and why? And an addendum to that question is also, how much does your program cost?
So our programs are free of charge. We do not want language, like money, anything to be a barrier to go through our program. So we offer our programs completely free of charge. The entrepreneurs that come through our program, we offer our programs, like you said, in English and completely in Spanish. We do not want language to be a barrier either in our programs. And, when we think about the people that we aim to serve and like Eforall entrepreneurs that go through our program, we really are focusing on small businesses. We want to start local businesses in the community that will drive revenue in the community and provide local jobs. an example of an Eforall entrepreneur, maybe single mother, making cakes at home. She lacks the business knowledge. She lacks the professional network. She knows she has something really good because she's been testing it out on friends and family, but she really, really needs community, mentorship, and just resources to actually figure out how to actually launch the business.
That's great. How have applicants stood out from the crowd in their applications? You just finished an application cycle, so how does that work?
Yeah. Yeah, I think we like to see passion. We like to see social impact. A lot of the people that go through our program, they have like a social impact part of their business. I think as a business owner myself, like the why behind your business, like why you really started the business is going to drive your business forward when things get hard. So, I think, it's really like sensing the passion behind the idea and like, is this going to positively impact like the community as well?
So why do you think, as I said at the outset, entrepreneurship is really tough and a lot of businesses don't make it. And anybody who wants to go into entrepreneurship because they think they're not going to have a boss and it's going to be easy, I've got some bad news for you. Kat, why do some participants flourish in the program and why do others less so?
I think I always tell people that, and just from what I've seen is really like, you have to be willing to pivot. Our whole program is really, really made for people that can be coachable. Like you think that you come into you think that you like, this is exactly what you're going to do. And, you need to be coachable, be willing to pivot, accept feedback. And just overall, like I said before, like resilience, you need, there's going to be times where, like you might not hear something that you want to hear, like, oh, like, but like, I think the biggest thing is, and you also get what you put into it too. Like if you're really, really working with the mentors, you're attending the classes, like our curriculum is amazing, and I've gone through the program. So I already know that. And I successfully launched a business. So it's really, you get what you put into it. And you really, really need to be coachable and like willing and open to accepting feedback as well.
Great. And then just a last question before I switch over to Portuguese, and Hector and I go back and forth between Portuguese and Spanish. What advice do you have for people in the audience about building networks?
Yes. I say this to all of our Eforall entrepreneurs. I always say, never underestimate the power of networking. Do not be afraid to ask questions or ask for help. And be open-minded too.
Excellent. Thank you so much. We look forward to seeing you at the roundtable part, which is the second block. E agora eu vou transicionar para português e dar as boas-vindas.
And I'm going to transition to Portuguese, and I'm going to welcome my friend and former co-worker. It's been decades that I don't work with Hector, but he's someone that I like him so much. I like him very much. I keep the contact because I want to invite him to a future event, and that's why he's here today. I'd like to welcome Hector. He helps leaders to navigate complex challenges like an educator, a leadership coach. He's been creating this educational network in sales, for example, which is a very important area. People not only know how to sell, and he teaches people how to sell. He was a professor at the University of Bogota in Colombia, and he's a consultant. He got his BS in engineering, industrial engineering for the Universidad Javeriana in Bogota, Colombia, and a master's in public policy from the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor. in the US, and a certificate in leadership development from the Harvard Kennedy School. Hector, it's a great pleasure to have you here. And I'd like to ask you the first question. It has to do that throughout your career, we have studied, worked in private sector, you have all this experience. What the aspect that you find most challenging in all the experience that you've had and the transitions as well? What helped you to become a better professional? Thank you, Jason, very much. It's a pleasure to be here with you. I'm going to speak Spanish. It's easier for me. Jason, thank you so much for the invitation. It's an honor to be your friend. I admired your career throughout the times, and I remember what's been challenging for me in these years of transition. I'm one of these people that are always looking for different pathways. And in this sense, I've worked in the industry, in the corporate world, and I was an entrepreneur. At a certain time of my life that I was working with agriculture, I wanted to know how the work with the land works. And 14 years ago, I became an educator, a professor. The most difficult part of all that, or basically the challenges are that when you change what Kat was saying, the pivot, you start from scratch. The learning curve starts from scratch. So, and we have some personal challenges that I call like existential crisis, because I remember when I left the corporate world and I became a coach, and from having a team, a position, a salary, all these characteristics that a corporate world provides you, from having anything. So it has an impact in your ego. And looking inside, thanks to that, I became more resilient. And just as Kat said, an ability to explore things with new mindsets. And it's still, as I see it, a great challenge, like a great challenge for my search for life. I hope I can be an entrepreneur for the rest of my life. I don't know. Thank you. Perfect. So selling is a critical skill for everyone, especially for entrepreneurs. Unfortunately, teaching how to sell is not included in traditional academic courses. So, can you tell us, how do you teach sales? And what has been your experience with that? Thank you so much, Jason. Yes, first of all, the reason why I've started in this process of learning about sales is that at a certain time of life, I was a salesperson when I was a representative in an American company in Latin America for a while. And of course, I was never good in meeting my targets. And I realized what I was missing. And today I find some secrets. And the most important secret that I understood, and that was after I made many mistakes and failed beautifully, was to understand that sales in itself is a service. Being a salesperson for me is a noble service that you turn into an advisor, so you can help people to make the best decision. Why I was a bad salesperson? Because I didn't understand that concept. I was selling to solve my own economic problem. And that's why I made mistakes. I sold things to people who didn't need them. And that caused some ethical issues with myself. So now I connect that sales with leadership, and it has to do with some of the skills like communications, and it has to do with purpose, understanding the human dimension of sales. It has to do with how do know your client in a way that you are next to your client, not in front of the client, trying to understand their problem to solve it. So on the same side. And how I've been teaching, it's some sort of a combination of how to understand these concepts from a more ethical and service point of view, together with the leadership tools that I've been learning and teaching in the past few years. So it makes a lot of sense to me. So if you go to a store and you have someone insisting to sell you something, that's a nightmare. But suggest a friend, a service of or a good product, it's a favor. So it makes a lot of sense to me. Now, tell me a little bit more recently in 2023, you participated at an art and practice of leadership development. It's a well-known course at Harvard Kennedy School, and you actually have a partial scholarship. Congratulations. And why did you decide to take this course, and how was it? I had been working with this type of leadership for a while. And Professor Ronald Heiss from the Kennedy School developed this sort of leadership for 40 years ago. And for 10 years, I've been developing the knowledge and concepts and practice. And for me, they've always been a dream to take this course with this person specifically. And I had the opportunity to get together or to be part of a network of people who took this course in Harvard. And these people are all over the world, or you have people who have worked with this topic, following this rule. So, and I had all the pieces lined together. All the planets were lined. I had the money, I had the scholarship, I had time, and I was accepted at the program. So we have three things happen. First, it was important to restate the concepts, hearing in the first person from the master who had created them, reinforce and provide more reliability to the concept. Then second point was going to Harvard. Not only it's something that, at least to me, it's not something that I could feel what it means to get to Harvard and take a course in terms of people who go to Harvard. There's a fun story. I said, okay, I met someone there, first day in class. I'm actor from Colombia, and the other guy said, okay, I'm James. I'm the advisor to the Prime Minister of Australia. So we have people from all over the place. So you see the diversity. You have advisors, you have professors, but diversity, and I love opportunity to get to know people who are doing very interesting things. And I think that the course gave me made me feel more secure. I feel privileged to be able to take this course. Tell me a little bit, what is adaptive leadership? Of course, Jason, adaptive leadership has three dimensions. The first one is what he proposed is that the challenges that we face as human beings in our personal life, in our work life, community life, has two dimensions. One we call the technical dimension. So we have technical resources from this point of view, and that means that those are challenges that are easy, quote unquote. Human has already solved this problem, like building a highway. Of course, I don't know how to do it, but I know that there are experts who can do that. That's a technical problem. There are some challenges, and this technical challenge, going back, it's what we call the authorities, the government, in this case for highway, you have people in charge of resources, and so on and so forth. But there are other types of challenges. They call the adaptive challenges. They had to do with people. They have to do with beliefs, values, loyalty, emotions. So these are the challenges that go from your neck down. So when you bring together a group of people, each one in this group are a complex being. We have our backgrounds, we have our issues, unsolved issues, virtues and not so positive ones. But then you can start facing some communication challenges, different in ideologies, beliefs, and adaptive leadership focus on this sort of situation that are not easy to solve. You're gonna get to know people better and make people talk. Sometimes you have to tell people what they don't want to hear, maybe disappoint someone. So adaptive leadership is the art of disappointing people at a pace that they can accept us. So we work failure, we work resilient. So everything around this complex world that combines the complexities of human beings. Very interesting. So throughout your career, you worked and studied with colleagues from different countries, right? So can you tell us a little bit, what have you learned from your home country when you are exposed to different business environments and cultures? It's a very good question because I lived outside of Colombia for 12 years and getting to know such different worlds. I lived in Asia, Europe, the US. I worked with wonderful people like you in different parts of the world. So we have to understand that we are more alike than we think. We are diverse, but we are all human beings who have fears, dreams, and restlessness that are similar. And the second thing is that we are complementary. What we are not similar, we are complementary. It's wonderful to understand what's going on to a person in Asia, a person in US, a person in Colombia, and we get together to talk, to work. That was wonderful. What I've learned about my country is that my country, of course, is the place where I'm told to do big things. Remember, when I was working in the US, even though I was doing pretty well, but I said, okay, now everything is, all the problems are solved here. And in Colombia, we still have a lot to do. So I felt this need to go back and apply everything to what I have learned and everything that have acquired. And finally, I've learned that when you're in your own country with your people, your family, you feel at home. I find all countries wonderful, but I never felt at home as I feel in my own country. And for me, discovering Colombia, its magnitude, its beauty, and was a prerequisite to go back, because I have to really think back and think how wonderful my country was, and I want to go back. So now I'm here at home. I work in other countries, but thank you so much, Hector. So let's go back to Hector in our roundtable now. It's a pleasure to introduce Professor Claudio, who is here. He knows more about Uninter than me. He teaches undergraduate and graduate courses in organizational theory, organizational strategy, and entrepreneurship and decision making at Uninter. He also works as an evaluator for the National Education Assessment System. He's an editor-in-chief of the magazine Organização Sistêmica. He got his PhD in business administration and a master in business administration as well, strategy and organizational analysis. And it's a pleasure to have you here, Claudio. Thank you so much for taking my invitation And I would like you to tell us a little bit about your experience teaching students in graduate and undergraduate students. What is the concept and the practice that you find more important in entrepreneurship? Well, Jason, hello, how are you guys? Hope you're doing fine. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for the opportunity and the privilege. I've been teaching management, studying management for many years, and I always learn something new. Now, talking about more specific about entrepreneurship, this is a field of knowledge that each day we have something new. We have, and that's the characteristic of managing new business. Talking about teaching, teaching entrepreneurship for business students, for management students. One challenge that we face is developing the vision in the sense that things are all mixed and matched in real life. In practice, to teach business administration, actually to teach anything, we tend to compartmentalize teaching by parts. Actually, we distribute the areas of knowledge and disciplines and so on and so forth. And management is no difference. And in real life, when we are starting a new business, we are investing some money, when we are looking to solve the pain of a certain market, our vision cannot be compartmentalized. It must be complete, it must be full and whole and systemic. In most of the courses, management courses that I've had the opportunity to assess in Brazil, this sometimes creates a problem to the vision of the real world. We are very good in creating models, but sometimes we forget to look at the land instead of going to the map. You see, in terms of entrepreneurship, that became very clear to me, especially in the thesis that people have to draft before ending their course. And for business administration, they have to start a case study. And in this sense, bringing the students, the business students, management students, back to the ground is a challenge for those who are teaching, taking into account everything the director just said, and what Kat said as well, the dimension of the complexity for someone who is taking their first steps. It's not easy, but it's very important. Most of the management courses in Brazil fail, but we still have good opportunities, good examples. I don't know if I answered your question. Yeah, perfect. And just to remind our guests, we have many questions, many good questions. I'd like to invite you to keep sending your questions. And soon we are going to go to the Q&A. Claudio, what are the main differences in the decision-making process in the entrepreneurs and large companies environment? So let's start with large companies or more established companies. The rational decision-making process, we try to minimize risk and improve or potentializing the return of this decision. Traditional mainstream companies, they tend not to take a lot of risk. So the decision-making process count on models, AI models that can help, but data analysis
uma prioridade,
is a priority.
Nenhum negócio estabelecido quer perder aquilo que ele já tem.
No established
Trabalhar com
business can lose
segurança
what they've done.
faz
So
parte do
working
processo e poucas organizações
safely is part
arriscam
of the
ter
process, and not
processos
many
internos de tomada de
companies
decisão que não sejam
risk
baseados
to
em dados, né, que não sejão seguros.
make a
uma
decision
tendência, inclusive,
based
que os
in anything
organizações
but
vão
data,
ganhando
or safe
estrutura,
data. And
complexidade
as
e vão quebrando
companies
seu
gain
modelo
structure,
burocrático.
they
No
improve their
processo
bureaucratic
de
model. In the
empreender, né, no processo
the
empreendedor,
entrepreneur process,
de novos negócios, às vezes até com
entrepreneur of new business, especially
que não
entrepreneurs
estudaram
that haven't studied
gestão formal, tem a ver com
business,
empreendedora,
but they have the entrepreneurship vein.
uma tomada de risco,
This process it requires risk taking, and it happens in an environment where information is not accessible, and that's an issue. People ask me, where can I get the information that I need to engage my business? And of course, today, information is public and abundant, but the right information, the one that makes a difference, is not very clear, is not there. But decision making in the entrepreneur context tend to be more flexible, faster, more adaptive to the context, to the entrepreneur bias. And knowing decision styles becomes an important tool. It's important to know whether me as a decision maker are a risk taker or not. And that's the work that we try to do with our students. To show our students what is your main bias in the decision-making process so that we can take the advantage and potentialize or correct, but before I need to know.
Perfeito. Deixa eu perguntar uma coisa em relação à sua função como avaliador.
Let me ask you about your position as an evaluating or assessing education. What is the most interesting practice that you found when we were assessing organizations?
Avaliação de cursos que eu
assessing the courses that I do it for INEP, a Brazilian agency. It's to provide a certification. I mean, for the beginning of when a course starts, sometimes there are very interesting projects in entrepreneurship. One of the very interesting practices that actually I've seen many, like trainees, incubators, projects. One of these practices was a bank of problems, like a problem bank. The name is weird, but it's a problem bank where the students needed to access at a certain time as a team. There were a sort of a competition among the teams to solve these problems. And those are real problems, local problems of the surroundings of the institution. Problems from the community close to the institution. So it was an exercise to the students, so they had to solve this problem, to solve the local pains, but it also worked as an insight. It was a formal service, but it worked as insights so that organizations who were bring their problems to the problem bank to be solved. They were matching what we do in the academia theory, what needs to be done for the community in practice. So this match, when it happens, they bring great results. This was one of the greatest practices that I've seen, and it worked. Sometimes we see very good ideas, but they don't work. This one worked.
Empresa startup, como você, como
startup, as you and Hector mentioned, undergo changes all the time. It doesn't have, you don't know about the past and you don't have clarity about the future. So what are the greatest difference in terms of evolution and organizational structure? What are the difference between a startup and a traditional company? First, provision and controls.
Palavrinhas simples dizem muita coisa.
Those two words say a lot. In a traditional company, as the company survives, it grows, the need to have more control, process, and people, and the need to forecast what's going to happen to reduce risk increases. In theory, these companies are starting to become more bureaucratic with paperwork, rules, things take longer to happen, but things are safer. In a startup, there's a need to evolve, create, and develop. It goes beyond the need of control. Sometimes these people, these companies, startups, they have very lean teams that together they are a team, a self-aware team, but they don't have, maybe they don't have a leadership telling them what to do. Not having the need of control without the predictability and the possibility to create and innovate, it's a lot bigger. You don't have any ties holding you down. The possibilities to take risks is greater. And sometimes they have less to lose. A large corporation, you have to meet legislation, stakeholders need, and so on and so forth. So the flexibility of a startup is
ao mesmo tempo, a segurança que tem uma empresa, o capital já já formado por uma grande empresa, acaba sendo uma força para ela.
The capital to become becomes the strength. So we have two ends here, two extremes. So both have their own strengths. So
excelente, então, muito obrigado, professor Cláudio, grande prazer.
Thank you so much, Professor Cláudio. It's a pleasure to count on your contribution here. Now we're going to the second block.
Com perguntas da plateia. Então eu vou juntando algumas das perguntas e tentando
I'm going to try to bring together some of the questions. I'm going to try to address the questions to the correct person. If you think, no, it's better if I don't answer this question. If you want to add something to the question asked by your, answered by your colleague, feel free. First question, I have two people. Moisés Pascoal da Silva is asking about the greatest challenge to start a business. And then Katia Souza, why in Brazil it's so difficult and why it takes so long to start a business? What is the difference between what happens in the US, Colombia? So what is the most difficult part of starting a business and what are the differences between different countries? So, Kat, we will bring, Kat is an entrepreneur, she's at home and she has 2 kids right now. And so it's the type of interesting entrepreneurship. So I can also help with the American perspective, but let's start with Hector, the Colombia case. What is the greatest challenge to open a business? Well, the greatest challenge is the legal issues. Everything that has to do to navigating legislations, rules, taxes, that is a great entry barrier for entrepreneurs. Sometimes they have, because they lack of knowledge, they create some failures and people get dismotivated. And it has also to do with the purpose.
para probar algo o para probarnos algo, pero no es realmente
to try something, but not the purpose, the passion, as Kat said, is what moved us, especially when we start to face challenges. Very easy to stop doing because we are not as motivated as we should. So we don't have enough power and passion to do that. So I think it applies to most of the countries.
Vou passar a palavra para o professor Cláudio pelo seguinte motivo. Depois eu vou perguntar também a perspectiva da Kat, da mesma pergunta.
I'm going to also ask Kat and Professor Cláudio, but first I have a question that is an area that is E4All. We have a lot of entrepreneurs there. So Cláudio, can you answer the same question? What is the greatest challenge to start a business in Brazil?
Eu acho que está em mudo.
Oh, desculpe. Também no Brasil, a questão da legislação...
Also in Brazil, legislation is an issue. It's very important. It's simpler now, but it's very difficult for an entrepreneur to acquire knowledge, to understand all the procedures, all taxes, all certification. Legislation is a complication here. And together with that, in Brazil,
então, aquele
entrepreneurship that happened for the need, the entrepreneur who starts a business because they lost their jobs, not because they want to start a new business, just because of the need of doing something. So they start their startups not prepared, and that makes the process more difficult. To simplify,
Obrigado, Cláudio.
I think that's the most important thing.
Kat, it would be great to have you add the perspective on what's most difficult about opening
What are the most
a business or starting a business, I should say, in the U.S. context, and then I'll start this next question with you as well.
Yes, I think that there are a lot of barriers for people when starting a business. I think the biggest ones are just lack of capital to start and launch the business. I think that that's really, really big. It's really expensive to get your LLC, get all the certifications that you need. I think that like lack of capital is like the biggest. I think having like a lack of network is really, really tough. And I think just a lot of times people don't realize how hard it is to just be an entrepreneur. You know, you think, oh, I'm just going to be my own boss, but it's like entrepreneurship is a 24-hour job. So I think that that's like a big thing. A lot of people, they think, oh, I'm just going to like start a business. And there's a lot more to it, whether or not you're a nonprofit or a for-profit. Yeah, it takes a lot of hard work, determination, you know, and, you know, it's very, very lonely as well. Entrepreneurship is a very, very lonely road. And that's like where Eforall really comes in, is we give you this big network of people. So yeah, I think that those like are the biggest things that I've seen for sure.
Super. And I just wanted to ask you a next question from the audience, because I know from you know our past interactions that Eforall has a lot of entrepreneurs in the space of cosmetics, and the question is, what's the best strategy for selling cosmetics and skincare products online?
Okay. I think the biggest thing, okay, so these types of businesses, it's obviously a very, very saturated market. I think like really knowing how to differentiate yourself in the market, which is like a lot of what we do. We really work on like your value proposition. So like how you're going to solve the customer's problem, how you alleviate their stress. I think like, it's a booming industry, but it's really, really tough. So you really have to know your value proposition, your go-to-market strategy. And I think also, I always tell people to like grow your community, like even before you launch, you know what I mean? Like, I think that like leveraging social media right now for these types of businesses is really, really important. Really like the educational piece, like will grow your community on social media. And yeah, I think like growing your community first, right? Like being like the expert person and like growing that community, and then people trust you and like they will go to you. And it's really your niche too, like just like how you're going to differentiate yourself.
Thank you. A próxima pergunta eu vou fazer em português e vou endereçar primeiro para o professor Cláudio.
Next question I'm going to ask in Portuguese. First is to Claudio, and I have a couple of questions. Actually, they are similar. Ilma Monteiro asked a question about she lives in the Amazon region, and she needs to know, how can I find an NGO to help the communities in the area? And Anderson Santos said, I would like to participate in the program, probably Eforall, but mainly a program to prepare entrepreneurs. But I find it difficult to make my business advance. So I don't have, especially for security companies. In general, Claudio, the question is, how can I find help, basically? We have some specific cases, but yeah, I actually saw Hilma's comment, and I started thinking about specific consulting company. Sometimes someone like Hilma wants to help her community, like this community in the Amazon region. Sometimes she knows more than many consultants, many experts that she's looking for to help. Sometimes the consultant will be there to tell something that she already knows. So I think that trusting what you know is the first thing that you need to pay attention to. Second thing is not try to find solution from places too far away. It's not someone from the south of Brazil that's going to understand the problems that you have in the north of Brazil. So looking for a solution close to you, I think, is very important. Not close to me, it could be City Hall, the state, an NGO, the existing NGO. Traditional knowledge sometimes are underestimated. And that's what I'm trying to draw attention here. Consulting companies that sell ready out-of-the-shelf solutions not always can help us. Some specialized consulting companies, they are specialized in their own success, not to help others to be successful. So the solution that comes from inside sometimes is more important than the one that's coming from outside. Excellent.
I'm going to now ask a question, bring together two questions that were for Eforall and for Kat. So Antonio Jose asks if Eforall, how it works with startups. How does it offer mentorship? Does it give initial capital to the business? And then there's another question about the mentorship of Eforall. How many hours is it? And what type of investment do you? And I'll just add one more thing, which is, could you explain, we have some of our Uni-Inter students who are abroad and in the US and in other countries. So the ones that are in the US, I would imagine, might be able to apply. I'm not sure. For Eforall, if you could address that. And for those who are not in in the United States, do you have any resources, either at Eforall or more broadly, that you would suggest entrepreneurs look for? So that's a lot, and if you could take some of those on, that would be great.
Okay, I wrote down the 2 questions. Can you repeat the first one?
Sure. So it's offering mentorship and initial capital. How does Eforall work with that?
Yes. So we do give away seed capital, but it is seed. It's nothing that's going to like make or break your business. Like we are not, like VC backed, like venture capital backed, like angel investor backed. Like we are a nonprofit and we do give away money, but like the most that we give away is like a couple $1,000s like at a time to each business. It's really just to get you to the next point. A lot of our businesses that go through our program are so early stage that they don't necessarily need that like huge investment yet. But yeah, we do give away money. We give away seed capital. And in terms of the mentorship, so our mentoring model is so you get into our program and we have a mentor matching night. So it's like speed dating for entrepreneurs and mentors. It goes really, really quick, but you meet every single mentor for 5 minutes. And we pair mentors based on personality and availability. So, and we do this through our software. So, software is very, very smart because you're so early stage that you don't necessarily need someone in your industry. You need someone to really just help you set strategic goals and help you get through the class topics. We can pair you with a mentor in your industry afterwards or during the accelerator program, but our model is we have 3 mentors for each business. So there's a coach, an Eforall coach, and they're the experienced Eforall mentor. They can help you set the agenda for the meeting and like really help you run the mentor meeting. And the commitment is for the mentors and the entrepreneurs, you meet with them 90 minutes once a week for the 12 weeks. And then after the 12 weeks, you meet with them monthly for the rest of the year. You meet as a group, not just with each individual mentor, but you can meet with them individually if needed. And then that's basically how it works. So like when I explain, like what the role of an Eforall mentor, it's really the mentors are like a sounding board for the entrepreneur. The entrepreneur is the CEO of their business. The mentors are really there to be a sounding board, be a support, and give suggestions and feedback. But at the end of the day, like they know and you know that you're the CEO of your business, but they're there to support you.
Thank you. Então, eu vou fazer uma última pergunta aí para cada
I'm going to ask the final question to each one of you so you can answer. And we have many people writing, but I'm trying to summarize. There's so many things here. Sales, marketing, establishing a business. How do I start? The question is, what advice can you give to someone who is now dealing with this storm of demands? How can we start and where can I start? Start with Hector, Claudio, and then we're going to close with Kat. Thank you, Jason. Place to start is to find this problem that I can solve and that it really matters, where my passion is. Thank you, Claudio. I've been asked this question before, and it's a very difficult question. The most interesting answer that I found is what, to whom, and why. If you answer those 3 questions, you may find a way of what you want to do, to whom you want to do, what problem you want to solve, and why you want to do that. I want to do that because I need money. I want to do that because I need to find a meaning for my life. I need to find someone else to solve someone else's problem. So if you can have these 3 answers, it will help you to take your initial step. Thank you. Finally,
Kat, eu gostaria de agradecer vocês três aí pela participação. É um prazer. O tempo vai voando e a gente gosta de fazer as coisas bem, sabe, cronometrados aí para tentar, que nem um empreendedor, colocar tudo junto no menor espaço possível de tempo. Então, agradeço a participação. Kat, we would love to close with your thoughts on that very challenging question of, oh my God, I need to do everything. I need to do everything all at once. Where do I start?
Yeah, this one. That's like a very, very typical. I would start in terms of just like the business. I would start with, I would try to think about like where you like where you want to be, you know, with the business. You know what I mean? Is this something that you want to start and just have kind of be like a part-time thing? Like, or like really think about like the overall vision of like really where you want to be. I would say start small and, you know, set goals. I think that like I've just seen like a lot of times, and I've been through this, it's like our entrepreneurs that come to us, they want to save the world. They want to do all the things. They want to give away to charity. They want to do this. They want to do that. And it's really like, you gotta walk and then run. I really think that it's really, really important to think about what you want long term, but also take the time to like look for resources and like look for mentors, like look for people that can help you. Look for people that have already done it. You know, like I always tell people, oh, I know someone that started this type of business. Why don't you go talk to them? Like they, you know what I mean? Like they've been through it, you know? So just never be afraid to just go and ask questions and like build your network.
Thank you so much, Kat. Então, eu agradeço toda a participação.
So thank you so much. My final words, my personal advisory for those who are hearing from us at Unintri. There is Eforall, who works in immigration communities, who are launching their new company. So it's worth taking a look at this wonderful program. From what Hector and Claudia said, network is extremely important. And again, ask yourself, ask question is very important. You're going to have to ask. Every entrepreneur will need to ask questions. So in the way you're going to ask ask for help. You have to ask for help, but asking for help is important, and not asking for help is a problem. But again, when you have to ask for help, do your homework so that you can ask, okay, what can I get from Hector, from Claudio, from Kat? How can I optimize their time? Something that exists already on the internet. Find this answer. It's easier. And the most subtle, most difficult things that you need more interaction, then go there. And then you go and ask the question to these people. It's a pleasure. Thank you so much for all of you with us today, and hope to see you soon in our next Talking Business event. Good evening and bye.